Hi, it's Alistair at Electric Scotland. I just wanted to highlight a report that I read on thinkscotland.org because I think it's kind of important that people should read it. It's analysis done on the SNP for the ever since basically they've taken over power in Scotland, which is about 14 years now. The organisation took the time and trouble, and I know it's a lot of time and trouble, to analyse all the statistics that have come out of the SNP government since they got into power. I was actually trying to do it myself, but it was taking me a long time because there's a lot of research to be done and different places to go to get the information you're after, because it's not easily available elsewhere. But I tell you in all honesty, I'm just absolutely appalled at the record of the SNP. I mean, I often hear people that are into, that support independence basically saying, yeah, but the SNP is doing a great job. Look, we've got free prescriptions, got free university places, they've frozen the council tax for many, many years. They've saved us a whole ton of money. But in actual fact, if you look at the report that they've produced, these savings are actually quite minor in relation to how much it's cost us to get it. I mean, there's so many things that are going wrong in Scotland, and I'm beginning to believe that we're becoming the North Korea of Europe, to be honest with you. I mean, it's like the dear leader syndrome. You can do no wrong. Well, I got to tell you, I mean, after having read that report, I'm actually appalled at how really bad the SNP has been at running Scotland. I don't think they could organise a piss up in a brewery, to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, it seems every major contract has problems. Either it's way, way over budget, and it's taking twice as long to do jobs and tasks. It's like, they highlight the extraordinary amount of money that the building two car ferries has cost Scotland. I mean, essentially, they apparently took the most expensive option when they went out to tender. And they started to build without the plans being complete for it. And it's also turned out that the capacity in these ferries is 3 times what is actually needed for the trips that these ferries are actually designed for. Appalling. I mean, it looks like we're going to be like 600 million over budget for this project, and it's still got years to go before it's going to be fulfilled, if it is going to be fulfilled. But the report is actually, and I'll put a link to the page on thinkscotland.org, so you can actually read the executive summary. I think it's 12 pages. The full report's actually 72 pages. But if you go to the executive report, there is a link there to the full report. And I have to say, I've actually downloaded the full report and I read all of it. Totally amazed. And the fact that they're using, publicly available sources from the SNP government's own reports and Audit Scotland's own reports. It's to me, it's a very factual report. But it's things like we're the drug death capital of Europe. Our homeless death rate is appalling. I mean, it's 10 times as big as England. I mean, it's just affecting so much of life in Scotland. And it's clear to me that the SNP really don't know what they're doing anymore. They're so fixated on independence no matter what. And Nicola Sturgeon, when she's asked what the cost of independence would be, she basically can't say. And considering that's the whole raison d'etre for the SNPs to gain independence, the fact that she's not going to even produce any kind of reports until she actually gets a referendum, then they'll work on it. It's just like, there used to be 3 international surveys done on Scottish education. And because of the very bad results coming out of that, the SNP withdrawn from 2 of them. And they now only have one international organisation, the PISA report. And the one that's been sent to the government, they're not prepared to release it until after the election in June. I mean, that's got to, because if it was good news, it'd be reported. Of course it would be. So the fact that they're not even prepared to say anything about that report shows that when we actually do view it, it's going to be a damning report. Continued decline on an area that Scotland was known all over the world as the best place to be educated. Now we're also rans. It's really appalling what's going on. And the mismanagement and the money that can't be accounted for. Was it £2.7 billion? I mean, the government gave them something like 9 billion, but 2.7 of that, they don't know what they've done with it. There's no transparency or anything like that. It's terrible. So I just ask you to read that report. Because I say, I mean, automatically, if you're an SNP supporter, anything that's critical of the SNP, say it's biased. I don't really see how you can call this a biased report, to be honest with you, because I say it uses the government's own figures that they've produced. Just that most people don't read it, and certainly the Scottish journalists don't read it, or if they do, they certainly don't want to report it to us. And then they're still fixated going into Europe. And again, the Scottish newspapers don't produce much of anything on what's going on in the European Union. And yet, if you read other newspapers, Daily Express, express.co.uk, for example, I mean, every day there's stuff to be reported from the EU, which is diabolical. I mean, who would want to join the EU in the situation they're in at the moment? It needs their heads examined, but yet Sturgeon wants to be in the EU. One can only conclude that she knows if she gets independence that she hasn't a hope in hell of running a country and needs all the help she can get, which is going to have to be the EU, because no one else would take on Scotland after all. And there's no guarantee the EU would want to take on a damaged Scotland. As I say, I'm beginning to think Scotland's the North Korea of Europe, as I say. Dear leader, no one can criticise Sturgeon. They're horrible, nasty people if they do that. Well, frankly, I think with all the shenanigans going on the last few months, I think people in Scotland are beginning to realise that they have been taken for a ride and are starting to think again about whether independence is the right way to go. But as I say, read that report. Please read the report. Take the time to read those 12 pages and you tell me what you think. Okay, as I say, I'll put a link to that report in the comments below. And I say sincerely, do have a read at it. Okay, thanks very much for listening. Cheers.